Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat pranams. Jai Srila Prabhupada. I hope you are all well. Welcome to this new season, or this next series of talks in our Bhagavad Gita as it is Bitesize Talks series. Many of you may have noticed that it's been at least a month since our last Bhagavad Gita as it is Bitesize Talks. Every now and then we get together to read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, to read Srila Prabhupada's purport, and then I speak briefly about it or on it. Now, in August, when we last got together, we read a verse from chapter 18, which means that we have now done one full cycle of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, because there are 18 chapters. So well over 18 months ago, we started these bite-sized talks, and I'm grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in every month to listen, not listen to me, but to listen to the words from a Bhagavad Gita as it is, and to listen to Srila Prabhupada's words too. They are really, really important. And now, at the start of this new season, and today being the autumn equinox, we are starting something new, and we are reading again from chapter 1, but it won't be the same verse that we did last time. We will keep going, and well, we'll just keep going. I have no plans to stop these Bhagavad Gita as it is bite-sized talks, so we'll just see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so a few things to just explain first before we get going. One of the main reasons we do this is because I know that we all live really, really busy lives, and if I'm really honest, I don't commit as much time as I should to reading the words of Srila Prabhupada, reading Sastra. So this is me also making an effort to get together with you virtually and to read with you. We all live really, really busy lives, and just picking up the Bhagavad Gita and reading just one verse, Prabhupada's commentary or explanation, is so important and so beneficial to our spiritual lives. The second thing to say is, as you know by now, we have an incredibly strong preference here at the Hare Krishna Project for only reading from the 1972 edition of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It's this wonderful, beautiful looking version here. We have done a number of podcasts in the past here at the Hare Krishna Project on versions of the Bhagavad Gita and changes to Prabhupada's books. I'm not going to get into that today, but we have a preference for reading the 1972 edition because it's the last authorized version by Srila Prabhupada himself, that he personally, in his physical form, authorized, gave the go-ahead to, sanctioned, bit of a fancy word. So that's our preference. And we do sell these as well. If you go to the Hare Krishna Project website, click on shop, click on Srila Prabhupada's books, and you'll see we have a wonderful supply of original 1972 Bhagavad Gitas. Okay, so hopefully most of you will remember how this works. I'm going to read a verse, Prabhupada's purport, and then I'm going to talk about it very briefly, because these talks are not about me. If you're watching this on Facebook, and you haven't already, please like or follow the Hare Krishna Project Facebook page. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. And in particular, with the YouTube version of this talk, this is in a playlist with the other 18 talks. So now all 19 will be together, so you can watch them. You can watch them one after the other. Okay, so let's get going. We're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, and verses 21 and 22, because they're together. So we're going to read them together. Yes, I normally do, almost forgot then, I normally do a very brief explanation of the Bhagavad Gita, because sometimes we do have new people with us, which is great. Of course it's great. And so the Bhagavad Gita, just to remind you, is a divine discourse. It's a conversation between Lord Krishna, God himself, and his dearmost friend and disciple Arjuna. And this occurred around 5,000 years ago on the battlefield known as Kurukshetra, which is in northern India. I think around the Punjab region, and they're having a conversation about all the types of things that we might have conversations about today. The nature of the soul. Is there heaven and hell? What is my relationship with the divine? Who is the divine? What is the nature of the divine? What is my duty? What is my dharma? And the reason why the Bhagavad Gita is still being read today after 5,000 years is because these questions and the conversation and the topics is still incredibly relevant, and they're still it's still the questions that we ask today. So chapter 1 is really around setting the scene and Arjuna starting this conversation with Lord Krishna. So Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see who is present here, who is desirous of fighting, and with whom I must contend in this great battle attempt." And this is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's purport or commentary. Although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. As charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. Although he had accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not challenged. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Harikesh, the Lord of the total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render a service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. He takes greater pleasure in his pure devotees assuming the advantageous position of ordering him than he does in being the giver of orders. As master, everyone is under his orders, and no one is above him to order him. But when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains transcendental pleasure, although he is the infallible master of all circumstances. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come into the battlefield of the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted more. Those of you and those of us that are that might have a Christian background, or may have a Muslim background, or a Jewish background, or more broadly, a background in one of the Abrahamic traditions. Those are the religious traditions that started with Abraham. It may be programmed into our minds that God is this very controlling male entity or character. Most of my life growing up, I would see God as this big man on the clouds, with a white man, I have to say, with a white beard, and he was and is in control, and he is ordering things around in the universe. Yes, there is a loving side to God, but God is this very, very powerful man. I remember when I joined the Krishna consciousness movement well over 20 years ago, if I'm being really honest, one of the things that I struggled with was seeing God differently. or recognizing there were different ways to see the divine. And I remember being in a conversation with one devotee one day, and he said, well, God, Krishna, in his truest form or transcendental form, is actually he appears as a blue-skinned, inverted commas, skinned, a blue colored teenage boy that plays a flute. And I really struggled with that. I really struggled with this idea that God is a teenage boy that is appealing to the girls, and who plays a flute and who plays in the forest. I really struggled with that concept. But over time, through reading the books of Srila Prabhupada, through spending time with devotees, through reading Sastra, I came to recognize that God, Krishna, in his transcendental form, this is his Leela. This is what Krishna is doing in his transcendental abode. He is having a loving relationship with Radha, his eternal lover, Srimati Radharani. Krishna is a teenage boy, young and beautiful forever. What Sastra teaches us is that actually we can have different types of relationships with the Lord, different types of relationships with Krishna. So I'm just going to briefly go through them. So one is Shantarasa, which means neutrality, a neutral relationship with the Lord. Dasya Rasa, servitude. Someone in a relationship with the Lord has deep awe and reverence for the Lord, and this would be what I would say will be the mood, or in the Christian tradition, or in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Sakyaras, friendship, a mood of being a friend with God or a friend with Krishna. Patsalyaras, parental love, us being a parent in our relationship with Krishna. Krishna is our child, and us being a parent to Krishna. And then finally, probably the most complex and nuanced type of relationship with the Lord, Madhurya Ras, conjugal love. And this is when a devotee experiences that sentiment of love or romantic attachment with Krishna. So ultimately, there are 5 types of relationships that we can have with Krishna. 5 types of ways that we can serve Krishna. Shanta, Dasya, Shakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. In the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, this is something new if you're new to it. I mean, that's an obvious statement to make, but it's very radical in the way we kind of perceive the Lord and the way we kind of understand the Lord. There are different styles of relationships that we can have with God. When I go and visit schools and I give talks to young people about Krishna consciousness, I really emphasize to them that Krishna is a person. He's the supreme person. He's the supreme personality of Godhead. God is a person. And just like any other person, think of your mother or your father or your lover or your child or your neighbor or your friend or even your boss at work, you can have a relationship with that person. And it can be very personal and very intimate. And I mean that word in a broad sense in different ways. Krishna is the supreme person. And just like any other person, we can have a relationship with him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu over 500 years ago in the area we would now refer to as West Bengal. And when we really understand the Leela, or the narrative, or the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we recognize that Krishna was appearing in this age, in this yuga to experience what it was like of being in an intimate relationship or in intimate relationships with his devotees. Krishna was coming down to be with us and live with us through his avatara form as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna was showing us in this age, in this era, in this yuga, that we can have a personal relationship with him. One of the things I love about this purport is Prabhupada really reminds us of this. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render a service to the Lord, and similarly, get this, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to the devotee. Wow! The Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render some service to a devotee. Wow! Doesn't that really tell you about the unique nature of our relationship with Krishna? It's very personable, and it's very intimate. Anyone can have a relationship with Krishna in that intimate sense. Okay, so I'm just going to reread the verse again. Bhagavad Gita, as it is, chapter 1, verses 21 and 22. Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see who is present here, who is desirous of fighting, and with whom I must contend in this great battle attempt." All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna!